So I received a question over on YouTube from Mark Holloway, and it reads, previously you mentioned the room wasn't dialed in to your satisfaction until you added the Trinnov. Assuming you were previously using the SPQ feature on the MTRX Studio, what was it about the SPQ that was holding you back that the Trinnov fixed? Now, I'll answer this very simply, and the reason I installed a Trinnov was because of the reassurance that it was bang on correct. You cannot put a price on that sort of reassurance. Now, you may think, you know, when you think about 2-channel stereo, left, right, a Trinnov isn't as important when you consider stereo. It just isn't as important. When you consider 15 speakers, you know, even more, if you go up to 20 speakers, there's a lot more audio. There's a lot more speakers to phase on each other. There's a lot more speakers, you know, like for instance, the front speakers here are 140s. The back speakers here are PMC CI60s. So they're different to the 140s, but they're the similar speaker, but you haven't got the driver in the middle. So there is some slight differences. The Trinnov just corrects all this. The thing with it is the SPQ on the MTRX is fine. If you want to sit there, test it, go, is that right? I don't know. It sounds okay. And then you work on something and you go, no, it's not right. Change it. And then you work over a long period of time. And believe me, human error will come into play. And you will never, ever get the SPQ correct. You will never get it correct. And I mean, I tried for I think it was about 2 weeks. I was working to try and get the room sounding right, the phase correction right, everything right, and it wasn't possible. Well, it was close. It was getting close, but it was never bang on. You always knew. I mean, I always knew that when I panned round to the left here, I'd get this phase issue where I've got 3 speakers here. I would get this phase between them, and it was annoying. And what it actually did was it made me not pan audio to there. I wasn't putting audio there because it sounded phasey, and that was me when mixing, thinking, it sounds phasey there, I can't put it there. But in reality, it doesn't sound phasey there. In like when you put a Trinnov in, you can put the audio there because it isn't physically phasey there. It's just the fact of the speaker alignment there was phasey. So things like that are really important. And I said in the comment that I commented back to you that when you consider what you're doing, and for me, I'm mixing for clients, mixing films, it has to be 100% correct. It has to be correct. And you know, people are paying me good money to make sure that their mixes sound great. And the thing with it as well is, I'll say this as well, is that I know that when I send those mixes back to the client, they're going to translate perfectly to them, because of the how correct my room is, how good it sounds in here. If it sounds amazing in here, it's accurate, it's correct. So when it goes to them, it sounds as it should to them, and it translates a lot better. The majority of people will come back and say, yeah, brilliant, the mix sounds amazing, sounds great, let's go ahead with the mastering. But that wouldn't be achieved if I didn't have the Trinnov, if I didn't have this 100% accurate room. Like, I wouldn't be able to achieve what I'm achieving because I'm not hearing what is 100% correct. For instance, if I'm in this room, I'm standing bang on here in the sweet spot, listening here. When I listen, it sounds amazing in this area here. it sounds perfect. If I move over here, especially a kick drum, if I'm processing a kick drum and I move over here, it's not bang on perfect. It's far from bang on perfect. And that's the reality of what it would sound like normally here. And you're making EQ corrections based on what it sounds like. So, like, kind of ask yourself, like, how much is it worth, regardless of how much the Trinnov costs, from a business point of view and from a service point of view. It's worth its weight in gold to have 100% accurate audio. And you may think that you can use the SPEQ and achieve this perfect room, but it won't be. I thought I achieved a perfect room until I got a Trinnov, put it in, and put the Trinnov in, and then I realised, wow, I've got this perfect room. Because it was like, I tell you what, it was exactly like with the Trinnov not in, the room was kind of like disjointed. Each speaker was separate from each other. Then when the Trinnov goes in, that whole room becomes this cohesive kind of spherical dome around you that just becomes so solid. Like, I can move audio around the room and it's just like natural to how audio travels around you in real life. Whereas when with the Trinnov off, it's not traveling like that. It's going, like, you can tell when it's moving speaker to speaker. And bear in mind that this room is set out within 2 millimeters of Dolby's spec that they basically provide, and that was done on the purpose of making sure that Dolby certified the room and said, yes, room perfect. For instance, Dolby came into this studio and I said to them, look, I've got a Trinnov in here, and they said, yeah, you've got the Trinnov, you're pretty much already certified, because they know that how important this Trinnov is and how well it can correct a room. And no matter no matter how you position your speakers, the Trinnov's always going to make positive adjustments to make sure that the room is pretty much perfect. And yeah, I mean, that is why I don't use the SPQ. And the main reason why I don't use the SPQ is the reassurance that when I use a Trinnov and I put a Trinnov on, that it's basically 100% correct. I know it's correct. I know what sound I'm getting. I can testify to the fact that I'm getting the best mixes I've ever got because I'm hearing something that is perfect. And without a Trinnov, it wouldn't be perfect.